Hi guys, I'm going to do a video today on bullying, and it's kind of a very personal subject to me because I have been bullied quite a lot in my life, and I didn't feel like, at the beginning I didn't really know where to turn, I didn't know who to go to for support, and I just thought I would give some friendly advice as there have been a few requests for this video and they just seem very useful, I would say. Yeah, so let's get to it. In primary school I wasn't bullied that much. I was bullied a bit, but I didn't really understand what was going on because I was so young. I didn't really have much understanding. Some people used to bully me because I didn't have a dad, which is just completely ridiculous. They obviously just thought, what can we be mean to Sophie about, and that was the one thing they could find, or it was different to them. They just didn't understand. Whereas to me, I don't have a dad, my brother doesn't have a dad, my mum doesn't, and it was just normal to not have one, and like I didn't understand why I didn't. Perhaps that's part of it. I didn't understand why I didn't have a dad, but I just didn't, and it was completely normal to me. And yeah, so perhaps being so young, that was their misunderstanding, because the boy was around my age when he used to do it. Perhaps that was just him misunderstanding and not understanding why I didn't have a dad, and yeah. And for that I kind of ignored it. I didn't know what to do. It did upset me, but I didn't tell anyone because I didn't consider it as bullying, because I'd heard the term before, but I didn't know what that was really. So I just pretended it wasn't happening, just ran away from them, hid in a corner and cried probably. The next thing that happened was, again, in primary school. When I was younger I used to have very small eyes, and I still do now, and if I smile like this they go quite squinty, and although it's not normal for a British girl like me to have eyes like this, it's normal for me and it's who I am and I'm proud of them. And but when you're young and people just don't understand, yeah, I used to get called Chinese a lot, and people used to say I was adopted because my mum doesn't have eyes like this and neither does my brother. And yeah, and when I was a baby I had eyes just like this as well. Like, I've got a lot of eyeliner on, as you can see, but I'll put a picture on to show what my eyes used to be like, and they're still pretty much the same. And I'm not ashamed of what they're like. I wear eyeliner to make them look not bigger, but just a bit rounder, because, yeah, as I say, they are quite squinty. And I used to be called horrible things like, I'm not going to say the word, but the terms that Chinese people get called, I used to get called that, and I would have been about 9 at the time, and I just didn't understand. I thought I was adopted for a while. That's probably it for primary school. Yeah. Secondary school I used to get bullied because I was quite large. I still am. It's in my genes. And so I developed quite young, and I had like big boobs by like probably like 14 or something. I had like really big boobs and no one else did yet. And that was because I was larger than most girls my age, and I used to get called fat. I used to have things thrown at me. There used to be a group of boys who would follow me home and try and push me off my bike and throw things at me and like stick sticks in my bike wheels so I would fall off and things like that. And I think then is really when I started talking to people. We have a family friend, Alex, who I told, and he told me that if I was being bullied, that I need to tell people and I can't just take it and keep it in for years. And really that's probably the best advice I've ever got for bullying. And when people used to bully me for being overweight, I started thinking, like, how can I not be? And I used to just not eat. And like, you don't have to be stick thin to have an eating disorder, and I am definitely proof of that. I used to go for like weeks of just having like an apple a day or just a drink, and like if I had anything bad I would feel really guilty about it and not want to eat anything the next day or be sick or just yeah. So just think about what you're saying to people, and although you might think of being funny in front of your friends, it could really be affecting the person. And just think like how you would feel if they were saying it to you. because just you really just being mean to them, even as a joke, it could mean a lot to them. It could really just push them off the edge. Just don't take it in. You have to tell somebody, even if it's not a teacher necessarily, but just someone you can trust, your parent, your brother, your sister, your cousins, and even if you don't have anyone, you can tell me. I reply to all my inboxes, well, about 90% of them I have a lot of spare time. So if you are struggling with this and you can't find anybody to talk to, you can talk to me, and I will try to get back to you, because I know how difficult it is when you're going through this. And yeah, that time my mum went round to the boys' houses and kind of told their parents what's going on, and I think she was trying to do what was best. She obviously was, but it just didn't help, because then they knew that I had told her, and it just kind of made me like a tattletale. So it kind of got a bit worse, and then I started ignoring it at school. I would just completely ignore them, pretend it wasn't happening, and then when I get home I would be upset and I would just take it in on myself, and yeah, so that wasn't good, because the more you take it in, the more depressed you get, and it's not good for anyone. And then I think it was about the same time I used to be quite boyish. I used to be a tomboy, so I wouldn't wear makeup or do anything to my hair. I would just leave it, and I would wear trousers and like a football shirt or something every day. It wasn't, I was just comfortable, because it's like when you're younger, you're dressed in just anything, and I think I was just comfortable wearing like baggy trousers and a big top, because it was just comfort. And so I used to get bullied for that. I used to get called a boy, and people used to be like, oh, are you a lesbian because you dress like that, which I'm clearly not, but even if I was, what is it to do with them? And I started ignoring that for a while, and then I got to like year 10, and it kind of all got a bit much for me. It started making me act out a lot. Like if someone was mean to me, I would just completely flip, and I would be really angry, and that was obviously where I had been taking it in for so long and just not telling anyone. I just kept it to myself, and although I was told to tell people, I did for a while, and then it would be a different thing, or I just thought it wasn't helping, so I would just not tell anyone. And so I started acting up a lot at school. I wasn't doing my schoolwork, and I just got very sad and depressed and just didn't know who to turn to. And although I would have loved to turn to my brother, he wasn't really around. My mum's always quite busy, so I just felt very isolated. I've never had many friends, so I was quite alone a lot of the time, and I just didn't know who to turn to. But I ended up making, I wouldn't say a friend, but I think it was my deputy head of year, who was very supportive, and I kind of told her everything, and she kind of just walked me through it and told me to just ignore them and just calm down a bit, which did help. Yeah, so that's the downside of bullying. Obviously it leads to things like self-harm, depression, in some cases suicide, and it just shouldn't have to. If you're being bullied, either if it's not that bad, try and ignore it and just don't pay attention to them at all, and they might just give up and go away. If it's really bad and you think it's really getting to you and making you sad or angry or anything, tell someone. And if you have no one to tell, as I said, you can come to me and tell me. Which a friend or someone at school, perhaps, if you tell them not to tell anyone, like your tutor or something, if you tell them you don't want to tell anyone about it but you just want to talk to someone, you can tell them, and I'm sure they'll refer you to a school counsellor. And if it's really bad, I'm sure you can have a proper counsellor on the NHS or whatever. Yeah, if you're getting bullied, don't just take it in, because it's not good for you. Yeah. I think that's all I really have to say. Oh, and if you see somebody else being bullied, although it can be scary sometimes, especially if it's your friends doing it, it can be worth it, because I remember, it must have been about 3 years ago, I was walking along with my friends and they started shouting at some boy, just being mean to him, just shouting his name and laughing, just being annoying basically. And I was like, no, leave him alone, just stop it, it's not worth it, just leave him alone. And I think a couple of days later he added me on Facebook and we started talking, and that's my boyfriend. So it can be worth it. It can mean the whole world to somebody if you just stand up for them. And really it could save their life. Yeah. So yeah, if you need to talk to anyone and don't have anyone, you can talk to me, or if you want any other advice, I'm here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit heavy, but yeah. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.